thumbnail. That'll do. I actually only really got this steak for the thumbnail, but I'm thinking that now that I've got it, maybe I should try and carry on the analogy between raw beef and raw photos. Also, another couple of things, sorry if you're vegetarian, and if you've clicked on this video wondering what the hell I'm going on about. Basically, if you're new to photography, you might find in your camera settings, like in image quality or something like that, there's a setting called RAW. This video is about what that means and when you should use that setting. So this is a raw steak, and it gives me lots and lots of options. I could sear it, I could grill it. Are they the same thing? I could fry it, I could barbecue it, I could slow cook it, I could cut it up into thin slices and have it in like a stir fry or something. Or if I was a caveman, I could just eat it like this. Loads of options. And that's kind of like a raw image. But this is like a JPEG. I mean, it's delicious, but because I cooked it and chopped it up, I don't have as many options. I think that'll probably do for steak talk. I'll just explain with photos from now. Okay, so here's an image I got in New Zealand last year. As you can see, it was slightly tricky lighting conditions. The sun was very high in the sky, so as a result, I decided to expose for the clouds. And what that meant is that this tree in the midground is actually quite dark. Now, this particular file is a raw file, so the darkness of that tree doesn't particularly bother me, because I can just go in and raise the shadows, and there's so much detail and information and data in that file that it can perfectly raise those shadows, no problem at all. But with a JPEG file, it's already been processed, it's already been compressed, which means that any data that wasn't needed to create that file just gets thrown away. And in practice, what that means is that if I try and do exactly the same thing with a JPEG file, well. So here we go, raising the shadows in the JPEG file, and there's just a horrible color cast, it's really pixelated, and it's all because there's no detail in those shadows because it wasn't needed to create that JPEG. And if you compare them side by side, well, there's just no contest. Now, it's much the same story with things like white balance. So if you want to change the white balance on a raw file, no problem at all. You can go right through all of the temperatures and you shouldn't really have any problem changing the white balance. With a JPEG, that's not the case. With a JPEG, again, you'll get lots of horrible color casts and yeah, it'll just look nasty. So to sum up, raw files will give you so much more room for editing your photos, but they'll take up a lot more room on your hard drives and you'll have to process them yourself. JPEGs have already been compressed and processed, which means they won't take up as much room and you won't have to process them yourself. But if you want to do any heavy editing, it's tricky. And that is pretty much that. Again, thank you very much for watching, and sorry if you're a vegetarian.